joining us right now. You can see that beautiful beard, can't you?
Oh,
I haven't seen his face in a while.
I mean, come on. Oh, and look, he's rocking the Bills gear. My goodness, he's got the Bills Mafia ready to go.
I kind of like his backdrop too.
Right?
He's doing that Woodlands helmet up there on the shelf. We're neighbors now.
I told you, man.
He's part of the crew, Jeffrey.
Yeah, he showed me that thing last night. That's a sweet hat right there. Old that green with the W on it. It's good stuff.
And that's the real deal, Holyfield. Look at this. This is what we wore in the old days.
Oof.
Yeah. Is that a Rydell? What is that?
Oh, it's an air helmet. They don't even make them anymore.
That's right. Air. Remember those?
Yeah.
Hey, you want to know why we suffer from CTE? It's because of these bricks that we used to wear.
Who knew that wearing a brick on your head was problematic for the brain?
That whole science thing. I don't know.
And being tackled on turf that was way too. Were you on turf or grass back then?
Oh, we were still the beautiful grass. Which
good,
wasn't beautiful because, as Jeff remembers, we used to play high school football state championship and playoff games at DKR during the dead season when it's already fall. So half the time we were playing on painted grass. Sand and painted grass.
Yeah.
Now it's all field turf. I don't want to call these kids of today names, but they're playing on fake turf. They're not even playing on AstroTurf. They're playing on field turf.
Now, in their defense, they're at like 128 degrees at all times when it's hot. But, just saying.
Okay, well, we played on turf here in the Woodlands at Moorhead Stadium, but it was the old turf like you saw on the Astrodome, that the turf was about that long, and there was no pebbles in there. And when you would come in at halftime and after the game, you'd have to come in with your elbows and knees out, and they'd spray with this antiseptic. Oh, my God, it was awful.
Oh,
it's why when Chance goes back to reunions at the Woodlands High School, all of the old football players walking around with a cane. It's fact. Those old AstroTurf days.
I have a cane.
Chance, you got a show tonight, 9:00.
We do. And it's a show that we are so thankful to be on the Orange Bloods Live. The guys over at Poncho's Outfitters, they're hooking us up big time, helping sponsor the show. I know y'all wear the Poncho brand. It's freaking awesome. Colt McCoy made it famous, but they're supporting us. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. We're going to try to be as good as we can, but I do encourage people, grab themselves a nice frosty cold beverage. It's the 9:00 hour. This is when we get to unwrap, unwind. You guys knock out the X's and O's. You guys are doing so much awesome stuff with the stuff around the program that the insiders have. Y'all the insiders. We're not. We're the outsiders. We're the ones that they've kicked to the curb that nobody wants to hear about, So now they get to hear our opinion. Chad's going to be helping us host it. Jason Dick, most people in Austin remember that name because he's our favorite Dick. I mean, that's just what he is. And then we got Bo Edge, and then we got the man of the people, Chris Abbott, who can give a personal view from the fans. I think it's important. Y'all have so many insiders. Y'all are so well connected that we bring in some of these people that don't necessarily have the ear or the mouth of the university and see what they think, and let's talk about it.
We had a question earlier, Chance, and I think it's fascinating to have you on today that you're going to be doing a show. There's a weird little parallel on the Texas football team right now at the quarterback position. Chance Mock, we're talking about a guy that when he was recruited was a 5-star guy, one of the nation's best quarterbacks. I mean, you didn't really have to take a backseat to nobody as a quarterback prospect when you were in high school. And then the next year, this Vince Young guy came along. And then it always felt like nothing that Chance ever did, if I'm not mistaken, it was like a 16-1 or 16-2 touchdown to interception ratio as a starting quarterback. And it was like, not good enough because this young guy is back there. Somebody just asked the question earlier to ask you, what is it like to be the guy who's the second string quarterback's trying to get his career, put himself into a position to be the starter. And there's a guy behind you that if he sneezes into a Kleenex correctly, it's news and people want to know about it. And you're just at times kind of talked over because you have found yourself in a situation completely out of your control where there's a bit of a rock star like sharing the position with you.
Well, so a couple things. And Jeff, you were there I don't know if many people know it, but you were the one that I let break the story that I was coming to Texas. I did let Jeff catch him. I called him first. I promised I would, and I kept up with that promise.
We had lunch at the Oasis that day.
We did. It was beautiful. I don't know if we're supposed to tell people that, but
no, it's okay.
It was interesting, Jeff, because when I came in and people don't even remember that I was a 5-star. And I think to this day, I'm like the third highest, of the ratings of quarterbacks coming in. And when I came in, it was a very weird dynamic because I got here, we had Chris and Major. I ran a 4.4 240. I had a 41-inch vertical, and everybody on campus was saying I was too athletic to be quarterback. They're going to move him to wide receiver. They're going to move him to safety. Then all of a sudden, this Vince Young guy comes in, and now I'm not athletic enough to play quarterback. So it goes from to now he can't play it at all. And so, but it was, we'll talk about this more on the show, and that's what I think is fun is we can get into some of these stories and some of the stuff. But, with Vince, I was never, because I was a 5-star, and you know how the alphas are. You believe you can play, and you're in there competing. And people ask me, they said, when Vince decided to come to Texas, were you nervous? I said, no, I fully believed I was going to win that job. And I helped Vince as much as I could learn the playbook with his reads, with everything else, because the way that I looked at it, if I'm going to beat you, you're my teammate, and I'm going to beat you fair and square. And if you beat me out, it's going to be better for the team. I just want the best guy on the field to put the team in the best position to win. So that's the way that I approached it. And it's funny because there's so many kids now, and you guys know this. All these quarterbacks that are getting recruited, well, don't recruit any other quarterbacks. I'm like, are you scared of competition before you ever step foot on campus? Like, what are you going to do when it's that big moment in a conference championship game, in a playoff game? I mean, you're going to fold in that too? So if you walk in nervous about competition, you need to find somewhere else to play than Texas or any of these big schools right now.
So, Chance, just for the record, back to the Jeff Ketchum part of your story. Jeff is trying to claim you that he discovered you. Will you allow it? I know you said you gave him the official announcement thing. Will you allow Ketch to say he discovered Chance Mob?
I'll give Ketch that credit.
Okay.
I think he was the first one to really jump. I remember him coming to my house at 9 Cape Chestnut. And this guy is the first time we'd ever met. And, Jeff was the first one to really hop on and start helping me out. And I did have some good stuff happen. I was in the very first class, the Elite 11, which was freaking awesome. Carson Palmer was our camp counselor. And we had Chris Lewis, who later ended up beating Texas when he was a quarterback at Stanford. He was there with us. And that was just when you guys will appreciate this. That's when Biggie had just come out with I'm going back to Cali. And they were blaring that freaking music the entire time we were there. But it was a great class. It was Chris Ricks, Brock Berlin, Jeff Smoker. God, he went nuts. Casey Clausen. I mean, it was a good class of quarterbacks. And when you go in there and you compete with those guys on a daily basis, I felt like I was the best one of all of them. And it just so happens, it reminds me of Dwayne Aquina, who is one of the best defensive back coaches the University of Texas has ever seen. And he told me he lost his job at Washington to a guy, you might have heard of him. His name was Warren Moon. So I lost my job to Vince. The DB coach was consoling me about how I've been through it. But I'm like, this is what I've fallen to right now. This is where we're at.
Hey, if you're having that discussion and the two dudes you're talking about are Warren and Vince, that's nothing to hang your head about, right?
Not at all.
Yeah. Chad, just to go back and put a punctuation on this very beginning of Chance in high school. Chance's junior year, he's still playing baseball. And I think Chance will tell you, he thought for a long time baseball was like, that was going to be the sport for him. He was a good baseball player. His junior year, he's playing Austin Westlake in the playoffs. And I'm standing along the fence line with his dad. And Mike, at one point in the conversation, goes, Jeff, the first time I met you, I thought you were totally full of shit. But now, I think you're okay.
Now I know you're completely full of shit.
That's what my mother says about Ketch, too.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
It eventually became a theme. It was like, I'm checking the bingo card. I get that a lot.
You know who was on that Westlake team was the only other Chance that I had ever met to that point, and that was Chance Covert.
Interesting.
Who now has a kid that's pretty dang good too.
Interesting. Yeah, exactly. So Chance, give us a mental picture. What position was it in baseball? What if the dream went baseball and you got to go to the bigs and whatever, you were imagining yourself as what? What was the position?
Well, I played short and third, but I threw 94 as a sophomore in high school on the bump. So, I mean, I probably could have got up to 95, 96, had a nice little slider, a changeup, and a sinker to go in there with it. I'd have probably pitched. I mean, I had a chance to pitch at Texas, and they were constantly asking me. And then there was this guy, his name's Mac Brown, and he told me, if you have any desire to be a quarterback, you're not missing spring training. And I said, well, because my baseball dream is done.
We like baseball. We don't like it that much. Don't like it that much.
Not that much. Not that much.
Chance, how much Kool-Aid are you drinking on this team going into the season? Brian Jones, who we're going to have on the show tomorrow, another former Longhorn, has got Texas in the playoff. I just can't get there yet, but I know people are guzzling the Kool-Aid.
I don't guzzle the Kool-Aid because I did for a long time. I believed in the team, and then they took a turn. And you know this, during the Charlie Strong era, which I thought was a reactionary hire. Charlie Strong, good enough guy, didn't think he was the right fit for the job, and it seemed like the team started kind of fizzling at that point. Then you bring in Tom Herman, a guy that was my GA. I mean, smart as could be. He brought with him his own little set of problems that, so you got this hype and then derail, hype and then derail. And now we're in a situation where I truly believe this is the most talented team Texas has put on the field in the last 10 to 12 years, maybe even more. They've got the guys up front. They're building to be a team in the SEC. You know, and Chad knows this as an Aggie fan. In order to play in the SEC, you have to dominate the box. Your front seven have to be freaking studs. You can't play little in the SEC, and you can't play soft. You got to play physical. Texas is building that. Texas has a great defensive line. The offensive line should be cohesive this year. Should be. That's a big should. We always, that's one of those things that I was a victim of, an offensive line that was young and later turned out to be really good. That's the same way. This offensive line this year should be good. So I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, but the opportunity is there for Texas to be very, very, very strong this year. And
later on,
college football, I mean, look, Alabama is Alabama. I get it. Michigan has the biggest jackwagon in the world as their head coach, and they're really good. But when Texas and USC, those teams are fun. They bring swagger. Alabama brings they're exciting. They're great. You cannot deny what they've done. But at the end of the day, I mean, Texas brings, and USC, and when those teams are good, it's good for college football. That's what I'm excited about.
Chance, let me give you a little hypothetical here. End of last season, if AJ Milwee comes to you and says, Chance, I want you to go to Quinn Ewers. I want you to give him one thing to work on in the off season. I don't want to confuse him. I don't want to freak him out. Not too many things. One thing to really focus on from a guy who knows the position. What's the thing you tell him?
Quinn Ewers' footwork went absolutely out the door middle of the season. He began to throw off his back foot. You noticed balls would flutter. His long ball began to sail, falling out of bounds. That's one thing you can't do, is you cannot not give your receivers a chance. And how many of those deep balls were falling out of bounds, those home run balls? So, we call them the alumni balls, because that's what gets the alumni out of their seats. And he was missing those. If he, and it looks like he has worked on it, but if he's got his footwork in a better position and he's stepping into those throws, that just one little thing is going to make him significantly better this year. Because when you hit on those long balls, it's hard to score first downs. It's hard to stay on the field. But you pop those long ones, the momentum, and Big Mo has not lost very many games in any level of football.
Chance, one of my things about Quinn, going back to when he was a junior in high school, is that I never thought he was great at the deep ball. I mean, you could watch his highlight tape, and when he threw deep, he would often have receivers have to slam on the brakes a little bit and wait for the ball to come to him. It's not an issue in arm strength. The kid's got a big old arm. You can always find videos of him throwing it like 80 yards at Elite 11 camps, those type of things. But he struggled with the timing, Xavier Worthy's speed. It just hasn't. How does a quarterback, and I was did you ever struggle throwing the deep ball? I mean, you had some pretty all-world receivers yourself that would have been on the receiving ends of balls, but coming from high school, it would have been a different deal throwing to Roy Williams versus anybody that you'd have thrown to at the Woodlands. And then, or did you ever play with a quarterback who was otherwise really, really good, but that point of his game wasn't great? How does that get better?
So it gets better with constant work, but there's a very interesting thing. So two little inside football kind of deals. We always played with what we call the quarterback's lawn. And this is where receivers, and Texas receivers had a bad issue of it last year. NFL receivers are really good about it. That 5 yards between the sideline and the numbers, that's the quarterback's lawn. You are not allowed to be on the quarterback's lawn. We're grumpy ass old men. We don't want you on our lawn unless we invite you. And the only way you can be invited is with a ball. And what that does is it allows the receiver to hold strength and then fade into the ball and create that separation from the DB. When you don't have that with a receiver, you've got nowhere to put the ball. So it's really on both of them, right? Now, the interesting thing was, and when I was there, we had Major and Chris, and the righty ball is going to fade this way, and the lefty ball is going to fade this way. And so you'd see Chris would be throwing deep balls, Major would be throwing deep balls, and Roy and them would start fading for Major's ball, and then the ball for Chris would fall inside, especially on the left side. When Chris would throw it, it fades out. So those things were really interesting to watch because of the way receivers naturally react. They're not used to seeing lefties. So getting that timing with Chris, I mean, it worked out. They ended up striking up the band many, many, many times. But that was interesting to watch. So for me, the deep ball is nothing but a timing ball. Probably the best deep ball I ever threw was underthrown, because if I hit Roy Williams in stride, we score early and BJ Simmons takes him down, and now we're behind again and probably only have about 20 seconds for us to try to score. So it worked out. If you ever go back and watch that clip against Texas Tech, I take 2 extra hitches. And the deep ball is a timing. It is, you get back, you take a hitch, you throw the ball up and let your receiver work. And that ball, Roy Williams running wide open down the field. I'm going, what in the hell? I'm missing something. There's no way on God's green earth they're letting Roy Williams in this situation run wild. Like, where is something? So I'm thinking there's something there. And you can see me, if you ever go back and watch that, I take 2 extra hitches going, all right, what am I missing here? Because I'm not throwing an interception in this situation. Somebody's hiding. They weren't. I underthrew it. It allowed us to burn some more clock and ultimately win the game. But to your point, it's a timing thing, Jeff. And I would be shocked if they haven't spent all summer working on that, because those big balls are deadly and they can be a dagger, especially when you have a team that's fighting you and you're consistently scoring, and then they're able to punch back. But then they have a long extended drive, and then they score and they're like, okay, we're back in it. You come out and punch them in the face with a deep ball and it scores, and it's like that easy. I mean, that's a demoralizer.
Yeah. Chance, these kids today, they don't appreciate that double hitch underthrow. They don't have that throw. You got to have experience to make that throw.
Completely strategic. I mean,
damn right. Damn right.
And I'm taking that one to my grave.
That's right.
Hey, if Mac Brown had had that kind of game management going in the 2008 Texas Tech game, we don't ever see the Michael Crabtree touchdown.
That's a good point. Yep. One of those Chance mock thought throws could have helped a lot that night.
I'm just playing 3D chess. Y'all are playing checkers.
That's right. Hey, by the way, 9:00 tonight, this is what you get with the Outsiders. I mean, they're going to have fun, but I just found that last 3 or 4 minutes of Chance talking about that was really riveting, actually. I hadn't thought about a couple of those elements. So it was really good football stuff. They're going to have that and so much more. 9:00 tonight. The Outsider Show debuts. Once the football season gets started, the plan is to do multiple shows during the week, but tonight's a debut show. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a real cast of characters, guys that have done Austin radio a lot over the years, and it feels like we're getting the gang back together again, Chance.
We are getting the gang back together, and we do have a thing we do on Wednesdays, and since today is Hump Day, we're breaking it out, and it's What You Drinking Wednesday. So I do encourage people, when you log on this evening, look, Jesus, Chad, are you going to be able to stand up by the time we get to our show?
Maybe.
Chad's drinking malt liquor right now in that cowboy thermos.
I'm working on a double hitch underthrow over here, Chance.
There you go. But yeah, look, hey, get you a cocktail, sit back, watch us. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's a lot of names that you'll know from Austin, and it's going to be a little bit different feel. And the whole thing is to have fun. So grab a cocktail, a frosty beverage of your choice, join us. We're going to have a What You Drinking Wednesday, and we're going to talk about a lot of fun stuff today. So we're looking forward to it.
Cool. Yes, sir.
Mock 5, Chance Mock, the guy that back when NCAA football was still a really big deal, you were quite the stat producer for me, Chance, back in the day when I played NCAA football with number 5 behind the saddle.
Oh, hey, you know what, Jeff? Someday we're going to get Slim on the radio show. And we're going to reminisce on these old deals. Now that's called a teaser. So all you
That's
people
a
watching,
teaser.
you're going to have to stay in because this is a story you're going to want to hear.
Nice. I like that. I like that. Catches.
I don't know that I like that. That scares
Yeah.
me.
I really like that one. Chance Mock, I will talk to you tonight at 9, brother.
We'll see you tonight at 9. I'll take off my Bill shirt for you, but
Whatever you want to wear. Whatever you want to wear, as long as you have a shirt on, that'll make me comfortable.
it's only 100 in hell here in Texas. I don't know what I'm doing wearing a hoodie right now.
I don't either. Thanks, brother.
All right, brother. Y'all have a great day.
Oh,
Cheers,
my
man.
God.